Hey, thanks for joining us. It's our look at European football. Let's start with Germany this week, where on Wednesday, Bayern Munich beat Lazio 2-1, 6-2 on aggregate in the Champions League to progress into the quarterfinals. And if you're asking us, did Robert Lewandowski score? Of course he did, Bob Holmes. Lewandowski always scores.
Yeah, it was a penalty, but he tucked it away. Yeah, what a player. He always plays as well, doesn't he? He always seems to be there, seldom gets injured. A magnificent player. And although he's not quite in the Messi Ronaldo league, but I think he's right up there in the next tier. And because he's a centre forward, he just bangs in the goals. I think that's probably why he's not quite rated as highly as the other two that I mentioned. But what a servant to German football, particularly German club football. Of course, he came from Dortmund. He played under Jurgen Klopp, made his name there, and then Bayern did the usual by buying their best player, and he's just carried on banging them in. And he's one of the main reasons for Bayern's dominance of the Bundesliga. Absolutely magnificent centre forward, tall. He's the complete old-fashioned centre forward. He's tall, strong, good in the air, good with both feet, can hold the ball up. What else do you want in a number 9? Absolutely magnificent player. Yeah. I think even Pep, if Pep was his manager, he'd have to play him as a conventional number 9.
No, he will Phil Fodenize Robert Lewandowski. You watch. All right, with Mönchengladbach dumped out by Man City, Bayern are flying the German flag, Des Corkill. They are one of the favorites for the tournament. Do you think they're good enough to win it? Are they deserving of the favorites tag?
They're an outstanding side, of course. They're the defending champions.
They got you promoting. What more do you need, right?
Indeed, they make what we perceive to be average players, outstanding players. But they've got that old classic. They're resilient defensively. They're a top goalkeeper. They've got a striker in Lewandowski who'll score goals for fun. But everybody chips in. The wingers are quality, but they do the work backwards as well as going forwards. In midfield, Kimmich is everyone speaks about him, but nobody really sees what he does. But he's always right place, right time, chipping in with goals, making clearances. Yeah, they're a terrific team. And in the Bundesliga, the team Leipzig were making a real tear to get close to Bayern, and Leipzig drew with Frankfurt last week. So Bayern have got a 4-point lead at the top, which doesn't mean they can relax in the Bundesliga, but it takes just a squeak of pressure off them when it comes to the Champions League. But they're the real deal. It is a shame they dominate so much. You would like to see more competition in German football and in many of the leagues, but Bayern are the real deal. They're a great football club.
There you go. As Des mentioned, 4-point lead over Leipzig in second, and then an even bigger lead over Wolfsburg. Dortmund down in 5th. If they don't buck up, they may not make Champions League next year. That would be massive, Craig Moraes, because they're a work in progress. They buy promising players. If they don't, the likes of Haaland, Sancho could all mass exodus. And where would Dortmund be?
Yeah, and that is the worry for Dortmund, you know. I thought it was incredibly brave of them not to appoint the manager right now. I think it's the Mönchengladbach manager that's taking over come the end of the season. But, I mean, it's a bit rare to see a caretaker manager for the club of that size to manage for the rest of the season. I think it's a good half a season. So he's expected to dig them out of the hole that they were in. Has he done a good job? Yeah, it's been all right. They haven't really got going. I still think they've got levels to go. They're missing Sancho, who's been out injured. Yeah. He was coming to a bit of form after a rough start to the Bundesliga this season. But that's exactly what you said, Ross. You know, the main thing is qualifying for the Champions League, and if they don't, that is a big worry because you know you see your high-priced assets go. And the big clubs will be lurking, there's no doubt. I mean, even if Dortmund were to make the Champions League, I think there's still going to be a lot about Haaland's future. I think Sancho probably, he's got more chance of staying. If you ask me personally, I think all the big clubs are going to be after Haaland rather than Sancho. So I think Dortmund find themselves in a very tough position. Champions League qualification is the bare minimum for them, and it's whether they can. I'm going to stick my neck out and say they're going to do it. I think they've got too much quality in that side not to get the points that's required to get into the Champions League. But it's not going to be easy. I think the Bundesliga, Des touched up on it and said it's not that competitive, and I agree with him to a certain extent. But I think this season has been a lot more competitive in terms of the teams that are around Bayern Munich than we've seen. So I think it's going to be a good tail end to the season in the Bundesliga.
All right, Dortmund away to Cologne this weekend. Here are your other top 6 in action. Bayern against Stuttgart, 1st versus 8th, Saturday, 10:30 p.m. Leverkusen in 6th away at Hertha Berlin, who are battling relegation in 16th. That's Germany. And now on to Spain, where on Tuesday, Real Madrid reached the Champions League quarterfinals. They beat Atalanta 3-1 on the night, 4-1 on aggregate. They've got previous in this competition, haven't they, Bob Holmes?
Yes, they certainly have.
Real Madrid.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost regarding them as outsiders, aren't we, now, because they're not at their best. But they haven't given up on this trophy, no question about that, and they haven't given up on the on La Liga either. I mean, they could limp along, as it were, and still end up doing a double. They just have that knack. They know how to do it. Zidane is a winning manager somehow. He doesn't seem to be tactically that brilliant. You wonder what his secret is, but he seems to be able to get the best out of these players. And it's the old firm that are doing it for him. The familiar faces that your Modric's and your Ramos's. The youngsters have not quite come along like your Asensio's, not quite as developed quite as we expected 2 or 3 years ago. And it's the old guys that are doing it. So there will be a bit of a generational change, I think, probably next season. And of course, the biggest disappointment is Eden Hazard, who spent most of 2 years, it's 2 years now, or coming up, since he left Chelsea. And he's been out most of the time. I think 80% of the time he's been out injured. He's hardly played, he's hardly scored. He's been a massive disappointment, but it's not all down to him. He's genuinely been injured. And it's unlucky for Real Madrid. They invested a lot of money. This is all pre-COVID, of course. Paid about 90 million, I believe, to Chelsea for him. And he was their star. They presented him in the traditional fashion as the big name signing of the summer and all that. They did all that. And then for him hardly to play has been a massive disappointment. So, but don't rule them out. Yeah. I mean, it's not over yet. They know how to do it. I mean, you've got those old heads there. Benzema, I mean, still scoring hatfuls of goals. And the other clubs Barcelona are actually the threat. They're probably favorites. They're 4 points behind Atletico, but they're the form team. And Messi scored 2 more in midweek. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting climax to the La Liga season. You could see Atletico falling off the top and either Real Madrid or Barcelona catching them in the end. So that's one to watch.
Well, with Atletico out of the Champions League, they can now just concentrate solely on La Liga. Spain's got representatives in the Europa League. Granada made history for themselves by reaching the quarterfinals. They actually lost to Norway's Molde 2-1 on the night, but won 3-2 on aggregate. So they make the quarterfinals along with Villarreal, who beat Dinamo Kiev 2-0. Gerard Moreno with a double. So it's a 4-0 win over Atletico Madrid. This is the top 6 in Spain at the moment. Des Corkill, do you reckon Atletico can be caught by either Barca or Real Madrid? Can they make this a three-way battle and really exciting to the end of the season?
I think the answer to that is yes. There's the Real Madrid Barcelona derby coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and I think I'm right in saying Atletico have got to play both Real and Barca in the remainder of the season. So this one isn't over, but they have recovered some results recently after a stuttering period. Atletico, and it's a 4-point gap ahead of Barca, 6 points ahead of Real Madrid. Games running out. They play 38, don't they, in Spain? So there's 11 games. That's a lot of points still to play for. And Atletico stumble, and morally bankrupt. So let's just hope that the equally morally bankrupt Real Madrid and the indebted Barcelona are able to catch up with them. You know what? It's a horrible state for those big three clubs in Spain. If they're your three representatives, it doesn't represent your country well. On the football field, it does. But in terms of management and reputation, what a horrible league to play in.
All right.
Seville make up for it. I think that's a very well-run club.
Yes.
Great fans.
And Villarreal, and I was going to say Valencia, but not so much Valencia.
So can I just add to that quickly, Ross? With the La Liga, you see Atletico up there. I think it was more of a case of not them being fantastic to getting into that position, but Barca had their problems. Real Madrid have had their problems as well, and they've taken advantage of that. I think both teams have started to overcome that as well, in terms of Barca and Real Madrid. And so and now you kind of see them catching up to speed, albeit very late on in the season. But there's still enough games and enough time for them to get back there, and I think they will. I think they'll end up. Either one of them will end up pipping Atletico.
All right. Well, here are your top six in action this weekend. Real are away at 10th place Celta Vigo. You've got Atletico at home to 18th place El Aves. And the game of the weekend from Spain is Sociedad in 5th against Barcelona in 2nd. That is Monday at 4 a.m. And finally, on to Italy we go, where they didn't fare very well in the Champions League, Italian clubs. On Wednesday, Bayern beat Lazio 2-1, so that's 6-2 on aggregate. Lazio out. Of course, we've spoken about Real Madrid 3, Atalanta 1, 4-1 aggregate to Real, and Atlanta are out. Roma are the sole Italian club flying the flag in European football. They beat Shakhtar Donetsk 2-1 on the night, 5-1 on aggregate. Of course, Chris Smalling in the ranks. And I like the Roma kit. I think that's about all I can say about Roma. I like the home and the away kit. And Chris Smalling's hair looks quite cool. Craig.
I think Roma have done well. I thought at the start of the season you saw Inter, who have been fantastic, and it looked like it was going to be the Milans again, because AC Milan were right up there as well, really pushing them. They've kind of fallen off the pace quite a bit, and then you see Roma come out almost from nowhere and try to be the sole challengers to Inter Milan. Now Roma's been pretty interesting, to be fair, because Edin Dzeko is actually over there, but he's had problems with the manager. There was something that happened behind the scenes. Maintaining a fantastic run of form, they're still grinding out the results, getting those results, and it's and it's worked. So they're second in the table. Inter Milan still top, have a game in hand. But you talk about exciting ends to the season. This is another one because Juve have Pirlo has kind of got Juve back into it as well. We were dubious. I was actually concerned about that appointment because he came in as an under-18s manager, and within 2 weeks he was promoted to the senior manager's role, and he hadn't had that experience. But in saying that, he's done well. He's He's managed to get them into a challenging position. I still think they're a little bit way off of it. But when you have the quality that he has at his disposal, you talk about Ronaldo's, your Ramsey's. I think people like Mackenzie's come in and done a really good job. They've got match winners there. So I still expect Inter to win this title, but I think it's going to be a really, really exciting end to the Serie A season. Something that we haven't seen for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the table here, the fight's definitely on for the second or onwards. Anyone up to Roma, 2 wins away. But Bob, you probably reckon Inter with a 9-point buffer over AC Milan, they've done enough this season, haven't they?
Well, yeah, they've got a 10-point buffer over Juve, but Juve have got a game in hand. So it's not entirely over. And as we saw this week, Ronaldo has still got his shooting boots. I think we have to say he passed Pele's record number of goals, 770. And Pele congratulated him. People might think that Pele scored more than 1,000. But there's only 770 that were official. He scored a lot in friendlies, in all sorts of matches, in his backyard with his mother keeping goal.
Don't be disrespectful. Hey.
But Pele, no, I'm still a Pele man. I'm of that ancient generation that I still am loyal to Pele. But he does claim, I think, a total of about 1,200. So maybe, there's a few dodgy ones there. But nevertheless, we're talking about Ronaldo, and it's a magnificent landmark. I mean, 770 goals. Just think about it. And there's a few more to come, I think. I mean, he's going to get the 800 mark. He'll probably get that, before Christmas. I mean, what a player. He's still got it, but I don't want them to win. This is my own personal feeling about Juventus. I don't want them to win the title. I don't like them. I don't like their president. He's trying to ruin European football. Agnelli wants this Champions League whereby teams who finish lower than another team can actually bypass them based on their previous record. And that is that's turning football upside down. And he's doing that because he's frustrated. Juventus can't win the Champions League, but he wants to ensure that they're always in there. And it's coming. UEFA has just about agreed to this in the next time the Champions League format is changed in 2024. So there's a bit of time yet, but it doesn't make me warm to his club. So I really don't want Juventus to win anything.
All right. Des, if not Inter for Serie A, anyone else you see? Who do you see? Do you see Juve as the closest challengers?
Yeah, in points wise, Inter have got 3 potential stumbling blocks in their run-in. They've got to go to Napoli. They've also got to play at Juventus in the penultimate game of the season. And they've got a home game against Roma, as Craig has just alluded to, a very difficult and awkward side. So they've got 3 really tough games. Plus, this week's game has been postponed due to a COVID outbreak. So their match against Sassuolo has been called off. Now, I'm not sure whether it's a Sassuolo camp or the Inter camp that is effective. It's the Inter camp. This COVID can have literal effects. If you're getting ill with COVID, it drains your players. So I think there's 3 potential on the field distractions and possibilities for them to drop points. Plus, there's the possibility that COVID might end this this Inter dream and brings Bob's nightmare into a reality. So there's still plenty to play for, and I'm really fascinated to see what the health scare at Inter is all about, because the game is off against Sassuolo. Is it on the Inter side or is it on the Sassuolo side? We'll find out in the next couple of weeks.
Well, with the Inter game off, here are the other teams in the top 6 in action. The standout tie there, 6th place Roma against 5th place Napoli, Monday, 3:45 a.m. That's a very quick look at European football. I've got to say massive thanks to my special guests, Bob Holmes, to Craig Marias, and to Des Corkill. And we wish you all a very good weekend. Bye now.